Hey everyone. So I'm going to continue to try and make a video every day or two. I have the whole Bible outlined. I just have to make it into a PowerPoint pretty, and then I have to upload it. So after Job comes Psalms, and I already did a video on Psalms a while back. It's in my Astrotheology section if you want to go back and take a look at it. So today we're going to do Proverbs, which is the next one. So let's get right into it. Now I'm going to do the 12 signs for every single video because I want it drilled into your head. And for new people, they have to understand this. So the first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man. So there's key words for Aquarius. Son of man or man, because this is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Baptism, because this is how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because this is a water pitcher. Fountain, a lot of fountains are built like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, creek, even. Water bodies, because Aquarius is an air sign, but because there's water in the sign, in the picture of the sign, they encode water in it. Now, Pisces is actually a mutable water sign. So I've got into what a cardinal, mutable, and a fixed sign is, or a cardinal, fixed, and a mutable sign is. But Pisces is actually the water sign. So all the water examples still exist, as does the words fish, Leviathan, for example. Now, Aries is the ram, and in Aries you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, and it's a 12-hour night. It's coming up in 5 days. It's also the Passover. So the Passover is around March 21st. In astrotheology, the Passover is when the sun passes over the equator and makes its way back up to its height in Cancer. In Christianity, the passing over is changed and it's called the resurrection of God's Son. In the Jewish Passover, the Passover, which is coming up soon, is when the angel of death passes over all the houses that don't have the lamb or the ram's blood smeared on the doorposts. So whenever you hear ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn, you're talking about Aries. Taurus is the bull. And when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you need to put the plow on the bull so you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow, cow being of the female bull, you're talking about Taurus. Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, you're talking about Gemini. Now, Cancer is the crab, and it's a sideways moving creature. Just as the sun rises a degree on its axis starting on December 25th, it stops rising a degree every day on June 21st. Then for 3 days, it rises to the same degree, hence moving sideways like the crab. Then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, you're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle or the king of the savannah, whatever you want to call it. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you're talking about lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. Remember before when you're saying that you plant in Taurus? Well, the virgins would come out in Virgo and cultivate the wheat. They'd cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, woman, because Virgo is the sign of the woman, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, these are all grainy things that are harvested in Virgo. That takes place in Virgo. So again, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn. Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. See, in 5 days, we're celebrating the Passover, where the sun is elevated to its height. Here, it's being sentenced to death. That's why it's the judge. Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. Libra is also olive oil season. That's when you press the olives. So, law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, wine, vineyard, wine press, olive oil, that's all Libra. Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips, and it's why the mafia has the kiss of death. It's why Jesus was betrayed by a kiss by Judas. Judas represents Scorpio. And the sun is judged in Libra and it's betrayed in Scorpio. And then finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. This is where the sun dies. Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It's dead. It's the dead of winter. So the ancients would look out into the sky on December 21st and notice the sun didn't crack the horizon. So they would say God's son was dead, where then it walks sideways like the crab for 3 days. So suddenly God's son was dead for 3 days. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's son, the birth of Jesus, the birth of Tammuz, the birth of Horus, the birth of all these ancient gods, they're all born on December 25th because the sun is born again. The light of the world, the only begotten son, is born again. And it rises another degree and starts to make its way back up to the top. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. Finally, you have Capricorn, who's the goat because he likes to climb the mountain. And if you've ever seen a zodiac wheel, Capricorn's all the way at the bottom, whereas Cancer's all the way at the top. And it starts, if you look at the zodiac wheel, and you start it all the way at the bottom in Capricorn, and you walk it a degree to the left, raising it a degree every day till its height in Cancer in the summer solstice, it starts to climb up the great mountain. That's all it really is. It starts up to climb up the mountain just like the goat does. So now that we have that under our belt, let's go into this. There's not a lot, but there's some very deep connections. Okay, remember, we're doing Proverbs. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. This is 5:3. The honey comes from the beehive cluster, which is in Cancer, and the oil is Libra, as I've mentioned before. These are 2 of the 4 cardinal signs of the zodiac, so definite pattern here. 7:22. All at once he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping onto a noose, till an arrow pierced his liver. So the ox is Taurus. The deer is Mariga, the constellation, which is in Orion, which sits between Taurus and Gemini. The arrow comes from Sagittarius, the man on the horse with the bow and the arrow, which is Sagittarius. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs, so very distinct, very clear pattern so far. This is 22, 24, 25, 28. A king's wrath strikes terror like the roar of a lion. Sluggards do not plow in season. The purpose of a person's heart are deep waters, when a king sits on his throne to judge. The lion is Leo, and the plow takes place during Taurus, when you put the plow on the bull. The deep water is Aquarius. These are 3 of the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. The judging comes from Libra. Just to remind people who are new, if you don't know what a fixed sign is, you have 3 different kinds of signs. You have cardinal signs, you have fixed signs, and you have mutable signs. The cardinal sign is the first sign in the season. See, there's 4 seasons, and then there's 12 zodiac signs, so there's 3 signs in each season. The first sign into the season is the cardinal sign. That's why the church has cardinals. You can also break down a sign into 3 10-day segments called deacons, which is why churches have deacons and cardinals. It's all astrology. Now, the fixed sign is called the fixed sign because it's in the middle of the 2. It's in the middle of the season. So, for example, Aquarius would be in the middle of winter, Taurus, spring, Leo, summer, and Scorpio, fall. The judge comes from Libra. Oh, and the mutable sign would be the one that takes you out. Sorry, I forgot that. It'd be the 3rd sign. 23, 31, and 32. Do not gaze at wine when it's red, when it sparkles in the cup. In the end, it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. So this is interesting because there's some new stuff here. The wine is Libra, and the cup is one of Ptolemy's 48 constellations, written about in 150 AD. It's called Crater. Crater is the cup, and it sits between Virgo and Libra. So the wine is Libra, and Crater is between Virgo and Libra. Now the snake is Hydra, which is another one of Ptolemy's constellations, which lies between Libra and Centaurus. This entire passage has 3 different ways of talking about Libra. The wine, the cup, excuse me, the wine, the cup, and Hydra, the snake. 25:16. If you find honey, just eat enough. Eat just enough. 25:18. Like a club or a sword or a sharp arrow. The honey is the beehive cluster, which is in Cancer, and the arrow is Sagittarius. Between them sits the entire right half of the zodiac. And it's important to note that the right half of the zodiac has this connection too, which they didn't make in Proverbs, but I'm going to explain now. Cancer is the beehive cluster. Cancer has the beehive cluster, so that's where the honey comes from. The Milky Way galaxy, or the milk, is in the middle of Sagittarius, just like these 2 signs that we're talking about in this one slide. So your land from Cancer to Sagittarius, this is your land of milk and honey. It's not a place on earth. It's a place in the heavens, as everything else is. 26, 3, 10, 11, and 13. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, like an archer who wounds at random. As a dog returns to its vomit, a sluggard says there's a lion in the road. The horse is Sagittarius, and the donkey is a Salus Borealis, which is Cancer. The archer is Sagittarius as well. The dog is Canis Major, which is in Cancer. The lion is Leo. So there's two examples of each Cancer and each Sagittarius. And between them, it's the entire right side of the zodiac. The right side of the zodiac, people, is your land of milk and honey. 28:15, like a roaring lion or a charging beat, is a wicked ruler over helpless people. 28:21, yet a person will do wrong for a piece of bread. The lion is Leo, and the bread is Virgo, the virgin holding the stalk of wheat. These are connecting signs. These connect in the zodiac wheel. So again, more patterns, consistent patterns throughout the entire Bible. 30:19, the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, the way of a man with a young woman. This can be explained in two different ways. So I'm going to let you guys tell me which one you think makes more sense or which one sounds prettier. The eagle is Aquila, which is in between Capricorn and Aquarius. The snake is Hydra, which is in between Libra and Centaurus. The ship is a constellation called Argo, which is from Cancer to Scorpio. The man is Aquarius and the woman is Virgo. This is 3/4 of the cardinal signs of the zodiac, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. It's also 3/4 of the fixed signs, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo. Ton of signs, ton of connections here. However, it could also be broken down this way. The eagle is the ascendant of Scorpio. The snake would be Ophiuchus, which is Scorpio's connecting sign. So there you have a pattern. You have the eagle, which is Scorpio. Let me break that down for you guys because you haven't probably seen my 2.5-hour video. When I say the eagle is the ascendant, the scorpion is the belly crawling creature. It's the lowest form of life on earth. The first thing that God does to the snake after the deception in the Garden of Eden is he takes away his legs. That's the first thing he does. So he has to slither on his belly. In fact, in Mexico, during the holidays, during Santo de la Muerte, men dress up in suits. They get all real nice, get on their hands and knees, and they crawl to church. It's to symbolize this. Now, the ascendant is, so the scorpion is the lowest crawling creature on earth, but the ascendant, the eagle, is the highest flying form of life on earth. Now, Scorpio to the eagle, and the eagle evolves itself into the phoenix. And what is the story of the phoenix? The story of the phoenix is the story of a flaming ball or a flaming item that dies and it's reborn from its ashes. It's the same story as Jesus. It's the same story as all of these gods. It's the same story as the sun. So these are connecting signs. Argo is from Cancer to Scorpio, and the man is Aquarius and the woman is Virgo. So there's two different ways you could interpret this. Both are fine. It just adds to the depth of how deep this stuff is. And then finally, we have 31:4, 31:9, 31:13, and 31:16. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer. Speak up and judge fairly. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So the wine is Libra. The beer comes from barley, which you, again, harvest in Virgo. The judge is Libra. The wool comes from the sheep or Aries. Aries and Libra are opposing signs. The vineyard is also Libra. And this is how you read this astrotheologically. And again, I'm the first one to tell you that there are 10 holy signs as encoded in the Bible. And I only teach one of them. I teach the oldest and the most prevalent, but it's still just one of them. So this is how you would interpret the oldest and the most prevalent in Proverbs. And it just lays out the heavens. That's what it does. So thank you guys for listening. We'll be back tomorrow or the next day with Ecclesiastes. Okay, Ecclesiastes it is. Thank you.